Hey everyone, today I am feeling angry about the design of the flying meta in Arknights. Let me tell you everything they got wrong with the game design here. We've picked up 3 flying oriented subclasses recently, and we have 2 flying 6-star units from the China server that are coming our way in the near future. Flying does 2 things. First, it makes you unable to be damaged by ground units. Since most enemies are ground units, this is a pretty cool defensive perk that can provide some nice benefits in the right context. Second, it allows the unit to block flying enemies, and this is pretty much pointless. Hypergriff really wants to make this a thing. Of the 7 flying operators so far, 3 of them explicitly buff this ability. Raxicum can increase the block of flying allies, Outsit Alter has an increased aerial block range and can grant that to other flying allies, and Angelina Alter grants HP regen to flying units that are blocking an enemy, and can relocate to flying enemies' location in order to block them. So they really want us to start blocking flying enemies. They want us to want to block flying enemies, and it's just not going to happen, because so many things are broken with the flying operator meta. First of all, most flying units are slow and fragile. It's fine that your units can't block them, but your units don't need to block them. They're designed to be killable without being blocked. I'm not saying I've never leagued a flying unit, but they're not that hard to manage. Secondly, aerial units don't always pass over deployable tiles. It's easy to see where you need to place ground units to stop ground enemies from reaching the objective. Aerial units can take whatever path they want, so even if you want to block flying units, you need to play through the map once to see where they go, and then place your aerial blockers on the second go round once you know what to expect. And third, almost every single flying operator is not flying 100% of the time. There's not really such thing as a flying lane holder right now. They can burst to flying for a short amount of time, and apart from that, you'll have to handle flying units with all of the traditional mechanics you've used to handle flying units since Chapter 2. If they're not even that reliable at handling the one mechanic they were built to handle, what's the point? Now, some of you have hypothesized that with all the new mechanics being added here, we can expect that in the near future they may bump up the difficulty of flying enemies. I think that's probably true. We might see more flying units that are fast, tanky, or invisible, which might give you a reason to look twice at this mechanic. But that's not going to change the fact that the game already has 1,000 levels where this mechanic is completely unnecessary. Pair this with one of the other recent changes in the meta, elemental damage. The elemental meta plays with team building mechanics by creating unusually powerful synergies if you pair units that go together. But at its core, elemental units just give you a new way to deal damage. You can go back and use your elemental units to fight Patriot or Tallulah or in the old integrated strategies themes. But aerial block is literally irrelevant in a huge fraction of levels and unnecessary in a bunch more. So the demand for these units just won't extend beyond the handful of new levels that they will design specifically to make you care about aerial block. If they add an invisible flying unit, I'm way more likely to face that with Inez or either Silver Ash than to decide that it's finally time to build Skybox. And since the game rarely requires you to build a certain unit, there will definitely be alternative solutions. So you will almost certainly be able to keep handling these units with Marksmen, D-Cell Binders, and Lords, just like you always have. And those units will continue to be good at a bunch of things other than just handling flying units. So I'm incredibly underwhelmed by the flying meta. They're pushing it pretty hard, but I don't think it will take. Maybe they'll surprise me, but I can't see them tweaking the game in a way that makes aerial block into an interesting mechanic. Outsit Alter is going to be a cool unit, but aerial block is not going to be why. That's all for today. Please like and subscribe for more Arknights analysis.